Hi, it's Alison from Blue Cat Sewing. Today I'm going to show you how you can film shots like this using your phone without buying expensive equipment. You can make it all yourself with things that you've probably got lying around the house. Here's how you do it. We're going to basically make a harness for your phone. Now, when I first made one of these, I used some wadding and some fabric, but you've probably not got wadding. It's something that goes inside quilts. But bubble wrap works just the same. It's basically to just hug your phone, and it also gives it a little bit of protection if you're to drop the phone. But it just keeps the phone snug within the harness. So roll up the bubble wrap and then cover it in the fabric and pin the fabric around it, and take a needle and thread and just stitch that on. If you've got a sewing machine, you could sew along this instead, but if you're using bubble wrap rather than wadding, you'll probably find all the bubbles burst and it wouldn't be effective. So if you're going to use machine and you've got some wadding, some thick wadding, you can do it on your sewing machine. But for most people, I'm sure you can find a needle and thread and have a quick go at stitching along this join. This is the only bit of stitching you need to do. It doesn't need to be neat as long as it's holding it in place. I've not even used a matching thread. Now I'm using my phone to record this. It's a Samsung S24 Ultra and it's quite heavy and it's above me right now. So I'm going to use my really old Samsung to demonstrate how I'm going to put the harness around it. The camera is a different kind of shape, doesn't take up as much room on the phone, and overall it's a much smaller phone, but this harness works on both of them. Did you notice I made another harness there? So we've got two wraps now, and wrap one of them around the phone and hold it together with a safety pin, and then do the same with the other wrap. I'm placing the harness on my phone so that I can use the rear camera, because that's always the best camera on your phone. The front camera, the selfie camera, doesn't give quite as good an image, but you can just twist the harness around the other side of the phone if you wanted to use the other camera. I've got 4 pieces of 25cm cord here, and I'm going to use one of them to wrap around the harness to hold it in place and tie a double knot to keep it secure. And then we're going to create a loop. So tie another knot. I use a reef knot. So left over right and under, right over left and under. And then you've created a circle, a loop, which we're going to thread the ribbon through, and do the same on the other side of this wrap. And then we're going to do the same on the other wrap. So now we've used all 4 pieces of string and we've got 4 loops. Then cut the 2 meters of ribbon that you've got in half and thread one of them through the first harness and tie it in a knot at the top. And then do the same with the other harness. You don't have to use ribbon, you could use string or cord or anything really. This is just what I had in. And this is going to hang above you from your ceiling. You'll see I've got 2 cup hooks there to screw into the ceiling. I like that they're white because they match the ceiling, so they don't really stand out. I ended up putting several knots in my ribbon because I've got a sit-stand table, so I wanted to be able to film at different heights. And I also found that when I was using my heavier phone, it was heavy on one side and not the other, which affected the angle of the phone, and it was dipping down on one side more than the other. So having knots in different places on the ribbon really helped to get the phone straight. You'll see there one of my knots came undone, so just be careful and make sure that your knots are secure. This is my Samsung Ultra, and you'll see it's got a bigger camera and I've had to move the harnesses into a different place. So again, that affects the angle of how your phone is sitting. So you'll need knots in different places, and the screws that you're screwing into the ceiling will have to be in different places as well. If you were using the selfie camera, it wouldn't matter so much because the camera's right at the end of the phone. So you can balance the phone a little bit better if you're using that camera. So let's have a look at the camera that's been filming us while I've been doing this. There it is. You'll see I've got a pencil mark in the ceiling, which was the centre of the table. And then I put a screw hook either side of that. But I ended up having to put a third screw hook just to get the balance right. It's a case of trial and error, really. You just got to play about with it. But once you've got it right, then you don't need to do anything else. You can just use your phone and you're all set up for taking videos. Just for clarity, this is the image that I actually got off my camera. And you can see it's not quite straight and it's a bit bigger than it needed to be. But that's where your video editing app comes in to twist it to the right angle and to zoom in. This is another video that I made using my ceiling cam harness, where I wanted to show how to put one of my patterns together. One thing that I had to do was I had to stand on a chair and press record on the phone, which meant that the phone started wobbling. So when you're making a video, just make sure that you don't do anything for the first 30 seconds, minute, because you're going to crop off that first part of the video because it will be wobbling. You can get screen mirroring, which means that you can see whatever is on the phone above you, relay it to a tablet, and then you can actually see what's happening on the phone. I found this useful in the beginning because I've got voice control set up for my camera, so I could say shoot and it would take a photo, and then that went onto my tablet, and then I could see that I'd got the whole table in as I wanted it. But in terms of actually saying record, you can't do that with screen mirroring, and it'll start recording a video. Not on the one that I was using anyway. It could be because I've got a Samsung phone and an iPad. Mixing Apple and Android doesn't always work, but you may have more success with this. You may be able to start recording your video by touching the tablet, and then you won't have to deal with any wobble like I did. Here's a shot of my old phone in its harness, but this time I'm using the selfie camera. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Happy sewing!